The site was very heavily degraded. There was no vegetation left on the site. It had been cropped and grazed for a number of years. There was a lot of erosion on the site. There was a lot of runoff. The flow used to run across the site, over the cliff and into the Gulf. So the wetlands have been put in place to try and provide some natural detention, slow the water flow, provide some habitat. Already there's numerous birds that come and use the site. The plants provide a natural filtering capacity, and so they'll take out sediment and other things and improve the water quality before it's discharged to the Gulf. So it adds that, I guess, positive look, but it also has a functional value too. There was a creek that ran through the site. It was a point of heavy erosion. The banks in some points were several metres deep, and every time it rained you'd get the water from the upper parts of the catchment coming through and just washing away, and all that sediment was being carried and dumped into the Gulf. You can see already that the plantings through there have been really successful. From what was planted very early, they've had great uptake. The plants are surviving. The water quality now has improved as well, so you get a series of basically steps. The water flows over one, pools, and then flows over the next and pools. So you get that slowing of the flow, and again it gives the chance for the sediments and the other things in the water to drop out. One of the really key things was that we wanted plants that would naturally have grown here. One, it makes them hardy, but two, it also means that they're things that suit the environment. They suit the animals that potentially would come here, and they suit the conditions. So they grow well, and you can see how much they've grown just in a very short time since the plant's been completed. You don't often get to work on projects of this scale and this nature, but I think the level of focus on some of the environmental objectives and not just the pure functional, producing water has been phenomenal on this project, and it's something that does make you feel proud. You are able to walk back around the site and look at some of the things that you had as very conceptual ideas early on, or setting objectives for the outcomes, and you see them realised, and it's an amazing experience.
I've never worked on a project that so extensively worked towards reducing any environmental harm to the area. We had to actually do a lot of drilling and a lot of dredging. Generally, when you do drilling and dredging, you produce plumes. There's no ifs or buts, you can't escape it. In this project, they managed it by simply putting a treatment plant on a barge, processing the water and then distributing it back into the sea. The water is so clear that we basically didn't know we had a dredging operation occurring. I've never seen anything like that in the world. That was probably a first for me. We spent a fair bit of time out in the boat doing water quality profiling, so we're looking at from the surface right down to the seafloor. We look at over a large area. We've been looking at about over 100 square kilometres, so from Haddock Cove all the way to Noongar to 10 kilometres offshore. And really we're just seeing and trying to track the performance of the plant and dispersing that saline concentrate. The actual diffusers themselves, it's about 128 metres of rocky reef, and it's at a depth of 20 metres. In the past it was just bare sand, and after the construction process we've basically created an artificial reef. It's interesting that around here you actually don't find too many reefs at 20 metres deep, and that's kind of attracted all these marine or types of marine organisms that I just didn't anticipate would occur. Everything from snapper to King George whiting to silver whiting, so we've got a lot of the commercial or recreational fish species, but also things like gunnards and big stingrays and western blue gropers, which are actually quite rare to this area. And so that was actually quite heartening. That was actually one of the, I suppose, the big discoveries of the whole project, is that out of all the efforts we put forward to say mitigate against environmental harm, we've actually created something that is now a thriving ecosystem. We're always going to be building and constructing along our coastline, and the more data we have to call upon to say, look, okay, these are the real issues, and these are some of the solutions that we can come towards in actually solving some of those issues. Now I have solid, reliable data to show that the plant is performing the way I anticipated it, and that we actually aren't doing any environmental harm to the local region. The problem really is for the future is that we've set a benchmark, and I don't know whether it's feasible for other projects to achieve it. We're still looking at options such as stormwater reuse and water supply, and I think it's a combination of all those that's going to be the ability to actually step forward into the future. And I suppose that's the great challenge in actually addressing all our criticisms and concerns, is highlighting that it isn't the solution, it's only part of the solution. And we've still got a few more challenges to come ahead as the city grows.